All right, we know Caleb Williams looked good last night, but what does the tape say? We're going to spend a lot of this show breaking it down. Our guy Tim Jenkins joins us live right off the top. CHGO Bears starts right now. Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast, a Victory Monday edition. We can call it that in the preseason because it was 38-0. So
that's right.
If you score more than 30, if you win by more than 35 in the preseason, you actually get a win. Did you know that?
That's right.
For the regular season, it carries over.
Yeah,
Bills it would be nice.
Bills might have a stadium being built, but we gave you a goose egg. So take that home with you and eat your wings.
Bears training camp coverage sponsored by Ray Auto. Go check out the new vehicles in store at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. This is your chance to score a great deal at the Labor Day sales event. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram vehicles. Adam Hoge, Greg Braggs Jr. with you. We are going to try to figure out what carries over. The win doesn't carry over, but other things might. That's the whole point of this. And it feels like football season because we got a little nap in after a night game. Tape was available this morning, jumping right in, and I know our guy Tim Jenkins did the exact same thing, which is why he's joining us right now to kick off a Monday. Even in August, it feels good. Feels good to be digesting a good Caleb Williams performance, Tim. And I know you already got a breakdown ready to go on your YouTube channel, All Things QB. So when people are done watching this show, make sure you go over and watch the full breakdown with all the film. But Tim Jenkins is back on the show. Thanks so much, buddy.
No, I'm fired up. You guys are the best.
Well, let's get into it. Little play action boot on the first play. Seam throw to Cole Kmet for a big chunk on the second play. What did you just kind of – we can kind of go through it in step by step, but what did you like about the start, whether it was the design and or what Caleb did from an execution standpoint?
You hit it right on the head. The first one out of the gate to me is classic what I think this offense is going to be. They're in 12 personnel, right? They got the one back, the two tight ends. They bumped the tight end over to go from like, hey, we're strong to one side to, hey, we're even. You force the defense to bump, and then you run play action. You slide that guy right back to the strength. And it's like, to me, I think where we lacked last year, and not even last year, if you take a look back at kind of the Bears historically, I think, since they've kind of been struggling on offense, I always talk about like P and 10 plays, right? Possession and 10, your first and 10. What are you doing to get the offense moving forward? And then what are you doing to get your quarterback into rhythm? Those kind of slider plays where it's play action, the Y slides across, you can give him an easy toss. It's like, 8-9 yards. Then all of a sudden we're in second and short. Like, to me, that's exactly why then, hey, you can follow it up and rip the seam, is because you're in a great down and distance. Whereas I think historically, like I've come on here and we've joked about it a little bit where it's like, we go 1st and 10, 2nd and 10, or 1st and 10, 2nd and 12, or 2nd and 9. And you're more cautious than when you're throwing those shot plays. So I think the slider was great. I love the seam. Obviously, like we joked about a little bit before getting on camera, like, is it the ones running with Cole Kmet? No. Simultaneously, like, you can only play who you're out there against, and that's exactly what you envision it looking like if you've got the starting offense, Ben Johnson scripting something, and you're going against a backup defense, and they did exactly what they should do. So to me, I thought the first two out of the gate were great. He hits the backside hitch to DJ, which I also love. I thought that deep over that they threw to the other tight end, I love that one. And then to me, that touchdown where we see a receiver, really formationally, we get an advantage, but then you see a receiver finish. Like, to me, that was as good as it gets from this Bears offense. Like, we need more of that, right? Caleb playing on time, and then the receiver going and doing the rest against man coverage.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the touchdown to Olamide Zaccheaus there in the slot. He's kind of got a tight end lined up next to him there, and, the defensive backs are kind of trading off, and that creates a little leverage and an angle window for Caleb to throw into. So, what have you seen? What did you see from Olamide Zaccheaus last year where, Antoine Randall Ellis said he's going to be the F, receiver in this offense, and how that's going to help kind of expand the horizons of this offense under Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams?
Yeah, well, for me, I didn't see it coming, so that's a kudos to the coaches, right? I think they know way more than I do. What I'll tell you from that design, though, when I watched it live, I thought it was there's this concept ship where it's a short post with like a collect shallow from inside. That's what I thought it was on the TV copy. Then getting into the film today, I realized, oh no, it's not. They actually inside easiest release the bunch guy, the point guy. So if you imagine in a bunch, there's a guy on the point and then two guys kind of offset to him on each side. I thought they were on the collect shallow. They didn't. They inside easiest release vertically, then broke it in, which creates not only like, hey, we've got the guys chasing because it was man coverage, but it creates a bunch of softness from the safety too, right? Because you get a vertical presence versus it just being like a horizontal stretch. Which I like. I'm going to be honest. Like I loved it so much, and we're putting it in with our third grade team. That's going in tonight with Mac Jenkins' third grade ball club. So we're going to be getting into bunch week one against the Littleton Thunder. But no, I think listen, then they spray release the inside guy, so it forces that guy to jump on his leverage. It's exactly what you said, where then you can just win across his face, and it's off to the races. So to me, I think the best thing from that play, you see the receiver finish. But it's Caleb actually, and again, I'm not trying to knock him, but it's him actually hitting his back foot and getting the ball out to his first progression versus hitting his back foot, running slightly, not like true running, but we say running his feet, like pattering his feet, and then the ball coming out. He's cleaned up his feet so much. And again, this was just preseason action, but the way in which he's hitting his back foot and the ball's on time to one is completely different than it was last season. So I think, to me, that play design was awesome. Obviously, I think the staff is substantially better when you look at just a development perspective. Like, I think the receivers are cleaner on their routes already. I think you're seeing more from the tight ends. And then obviously Caleb playing on time, I just think is, Ben Johnson's just obviously been hammering that.
And I'll be honest with you, Tim. I mean, we've been at all the practices. That's as on time as he's looked. Last night you saw. I mean, He was better last week. He put 3 practices together. Ben Johnson said the same thing after the game last night, and he looked pretty solid on Friday, I thought, against the Bills, but it was still a little up and down. But in terms of just being on time and getting the ball out, that was as good as it's been last night. And it really, I mean, if you time the throws, it's like 2.1, 2.2 balls out at the top of his drop. What do you think maybe in what ways could – I guess, what do you suspect is the reasoning that would all just sudden click last night? Is it just who he's playing against, how they schemed it up? I mean, Ben Johnson was like, you're playing this week, we're playing the starters, which was a departure from what they did week one.
Yeah, I think you're probably on to there's a piece of it where it's who they're playing, right? The windows are bigger, which as a quarterback, of course, is easier to hit your back foot and let it go. What I tell you is I wouldn't be surprised, too, if these were all scripted, which – is a departure what we've seen from the past with the Bears, right? Not being scripted, but I do think that's how the first 10 should look, right? You go and you watch good offenses in the NFL. The first 10 do look substantially cleaner. And I think that's what we're seeing. I'm guessing these are some staple concepts that they've probably repped a lot throughout camp. So to me, it's like, I think it's just, what I wouldn't be surprised at, when you listen to Ben Johnson in his press conference, he talks a lot about, hey, we've by design thrown a lot at him. I wouldn't be surprised if they're almost installing what they would quote unquote game plan install. I wouldn't be surprised if that's happening every 1 or 2 days to see how he reacts. There's so much you can learn from a quarterback, I think, in just a game plan install one day and then hearing him in the huddle. Like, how hard is it for him to spit out new verbiage? Like, I think there's a lot for what they're probably trying to do. With that being said, I'm sure then now when you get him to where, hey, here are the 10 I want you comfortable with, you can see, oh shoot, he's going to play substantially faster. He's going to be on time more. And then I think the other thing you saw was receivers, again, it's like I'm trying to not consistently knock what they were doing last year, but you see receivers who it felt like they understood why I'm running this route on this play, which from coaching, hey, running a for the love of the game route, right? Where it's like, you're not going to get the ball, but we need you to do this. It is so important to an offense and getting other guys open. And I think you finally saw that from the Bears, where it's like, these guys are understanding, hey, why am I pushing this thing vertically? Why am I trying to create horizontal stretch? And they're doing a good job. And then Caleb was playing on time. So to me, I think it's probably because it was scripted. It's probably partially because of who they were going against. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. I wouldn't be surprised if early in the season, and not to knock because I'm excited too, but not to like damper or be a party pooper, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the beginning of the season we saw those scripted series going really well. And if we are going to see this offense struggle, I do think it's going to be later, that second, third, fourth quarter, as they're trying to get used to Ben as a play caller, and then also more of the game plan installs versus some of the things we're carrying week to week in our scripted series.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the footwork looking really clean last night, and I think that was the overlying word that Ben used last night in terms of clean operations, and then obviously this clean footwork with Caleb. But there was really the first play that was under center, play action rollout. You hit Colston Loveland in the flat, and then it was a lot of in shotgun. Now, we've seen everything at training camp. They've been under center. They're doing a lot of stuff where they're doing play action and getting them rolled out. But Ben talked about a few days ago how, when his feet are right, that's when the accuracy is on point, and when they're not, it's when it's not. So just talking from a quarterback's perspective, how much harder it is to stay disciplined with your footwork when you're under center and having to run play action versus playing in shotgun.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting that he brought that up, and it's a great point. First, I do want to touch base on one thing that I saw you tweet out, Greg, which was how quick they were getting to the line of scrimmage. I think that's, like, to me, like, first that you track that is great, but like I do think like that's super important, right? You get up there fast, we can get in and out of the right plays. So to me, that was awesome. But like what you said with the being under center versus being in the gun, to me, I always thought it was harder to actually have cleaner feet in the gun, because I always felt like I got a little bit lazy when I got 5 yards away, right? You get 5 yards away from that D line in the gun, all of a sudden you start getting a little lazier with your feet. It's hard to play on time to one, which I think we saw last year with him. Whereas when you're under center, I always joked about, man, I had to work my tail off to get back away from those guys, especially when you get to the level where, when I was playing D2 football, it was easy, right? It was like, my father-in-law chasing me. You know what I mean? It was like, a guy who's going to be a banker in 3 months. Whereas now you get to the NFL and even in the preseason, it's like, you better get your tail back there because those dudes are cranking. So I think under center, you're probably going to see him be on time more. You're going to see his feet be a little bit more efficient. What I saw, though, last night when he was in the gun was you could tell, hey, we have a drop for this play. And as like elementary as that sounds, I'm not convinced that we had that last year, where it's like you could tell, hey, punch one if we're taking this. Hey, one skip. That third down that he rips to DJ on the kind of speed out where they're in 3-by-1, but DJ's in the number 2 spot. Like you could see, that was the first time I've ever seen him take we call it a one skip drop, where you one and then kind of cut it in half. I haven't seen him ever take that. So to me, it's like, Ben Johnson's hitting him there. Hey, if you want to play with your right foot back in the gun, that's great. You're going to take your one step, your punch one and be on time, or one skip and be on time. I thought it looked really good. I think obviously Ben ties more stuff to the feet. Like he's going to say, hey, it's one skip to DJ, reset to Komet, reset to the back. You saw a true, I hate saying it old school, but like I love it, but you saw a true 7-step on the mesh play they tried to hit. I think he's probably going to get coached up pretty hard on not passing up the collect shallow. I think the collect shallow was a little late, but I do think like, hey, you got to take the collect shallow on that one. But yeah, I thought his feet looked way cleaner than they have at any point last year. I still see on tape why Ben's probably still riding him at camp, right? Of like, hey, this isn't clean enough. We need this faster. But like for me, from week 18 to week 1, like there's been substantial growth in just him tying his feet to the concept.
So we'll often hear coaches talk about how they ideally want to make the practices harder than the game. And I sort of feel like that's what Ben Johnson, with that last point you just made, what he's been doing. And we heard it from Caleb last night in his post-game presser. He kind of joked, but I think he was being serious. Ben's a lot calmer with me in the headset on game day than he is when he's yelling at me constantly in practice. So how much do you think that can really translate versus that just being like coach talk? Can you actually, are there ways in which you can actually make the game seem easier, calmer, whatever it is, than what it is in practice when we know that the defense is obviously still harder on Sunday than whatever you're trying to get with your scout team during the week?
Yeah, I don't think you can. To me, like, I've always viewed that as like a mentality. I don't think you can, like you're saying, you can't replicate Sunday speed, right? Like, you just can't, like, especially when you go play like a dynamite pass rusher, you just can't. There are certain things you can't replicate. What I'd tell you is I think there's something to be said about, from the quarterback perspective, making it harder, meaning like we are going to have radical accountability. Like, hey, even if it's just the smallest step is off, like, we're going to coach him super hard. To me, when Coach K was at Duke, I got like a small story. When I was a young pup, I thought I was like a great basketball player. Little did I know that I was just like in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, where no one else was good at hoop. But I thought I was a great basketball player. I went out to watch Duke play back when Coach K was there. And I remember my youth basketball coach telling me, like, hey, dude, make sure you watch everything he says and bring it home. And I'm telling you, I think Coach K said like 10 things total, right? Like, hey, good job. Like, to me, it was the first time I kind of realized, like, oh, great coaches coach at practice, and then they're just building up their guys during the game, right? There's only so much you can change during a game. And like, so to me, I'm assuming that's more what Ben's philosophy is like, hey, I'm going to coach Caleb so hard during the week. And then on game day, man, I'm just going to build him up and, hey, be encouraging. And you saw that a little bit in the quarterback show when they were highlighting him when he was with Goff last year in Detroit, where it's like, I'm sure they're doing so much during the week that come game day, man, it's just like, hey, let's get into the right calls. Let's make sure our reads are right. And that's kind of what I'm guessing it more is. It's more of a mentality from like, hey, we're going to coach you so darn hard. We're going to make sure everything's perfect during the week and especially during camp, that when it shows up on game day, like, hey, I'm just calling stuff in and that we've decided we like as a unit, right? As the quarterback coordinator and quarterback head coach combo. And then from there, it's just like letting Caleb Williams go and do what they took him number 1 overall to do, which is go out there and make throws that not a lot of guys in the league can make.
Yeah, Tim Jenkins here joining the CHGO Bears podcast. Hit the like button for Tim joining us on short notice. I was messaging him at 1 a.m. last night, so appreciate you, Tim. But yeah, just to give the overarching view, because I'm sure we're going to talk here more as the season rolls along, but just the 1,000-foot aerial view of what you've seen from Ben Johnson as a play caller, and now putting that with what the Bears have done this offseason with their additions of Joe Thuney and Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, and obviously guys like Caleb and Rome being in their second year. Just everything that you've seen through this offseason and now looking at what this team could be here in year 1 and how it can look going forward for years to come.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I'm fired up from what we saw last night. I'm more fired up from what the clip, and you guys probably get in trouble when you tweet out the clips, but the clips that you guys send out from camp, like, I'm more excited at those because you can see like actual design of, oh, okay, hey, what they're trying to go do, which I think to me is like, it's going to be special. What I've always loved about Ben when you watch him as a play caller is the amount of stuff they design week to week that's just like a straight ripoff, whether it be from, week 3 of last year or whatever against a certain D coordinator. Like, they take in, back in the day, like the Kids Bop 10s or whatever, where it was like the 20 most popular things. They take in the 20 plays that have killed this defense. Like, they are not afraid to copy, whatever anybody else has done, put it into their terms and go and execute it. So to me, it's like, I love that. I think that's going to be really beneficial. The Luther Burden kid is the one that I'm like most interested to see how he fits, because when you watch him create separation against man coverage, like he just seems, DJ Moore to me is like the most complete football player I think we have from a receiver standpoint. I know like people are really excited about Rome and I am too, but DJ Moore is like just that veteran, like you can trust him on 3rd and 6. The Luther Burden kid, though, like, I think there's something to be said about them scheming up stuff that he can take the roof off, which I don't know if we've truly really had in a long time, where it's like, hey, we can go hit a home run with this kid. Or, hey, we get drop coverage and we have doubles elsewhere, and this is the guy that we're going to attack. So to me, he's the one that I'm most excited to see. I'm sure he's got a ton of stuff to clean up. Like, I saw the clip where he got kicked out of practice or something for not knowing something, or got kicked out of a period, whatever it was. So I'm sure there's a lot of growing pains when you're playing an offense like Ben Johnson has, but I do feel like he's the one that I'm going to keep my eye on, because I think his role in week 1 will be drastically different than it is in week 9, when I'm sure he's going to be getting on the field a lot more in third down and critical situations.
Let me end with you on this one, though, because it has to do with Burden, DJ Moore too, and then let me just tell you, Olamide Zaccheaus, that runaway speed you saw last night, I know that was against backups. He did that on Friday against the starters, though, when the Bills starters were out there too. That he's been doing that every day in practice. What if you have 3 guys with that type of yak ability? What can Ben Johnson do with that? When you have DJ Moore, Luther Burden, OZ, they're all 3 of those guys are, if you can get the ball in their hands, they could potentially run away on any given play.
I think the thing that, you know this too, Adam, from coaching, the thing that I think scares you the most is if I'm a D coordinator going into it, I don't have my screen guy picked out, right? Like, a lot of teams, they have one guy they throw slip screen to, or they have one guy that they throw tunnel to, because he's our only game breaker, right? They have 3. So if all of a sudden you're in 3rd and 8, right, and hey, all we're going to do is try to throw a screen, but all 3 of those guys are on the field, you at least have some thoughts as a defense of which side am I going to go to. So to me, that's what I'm most excited for. I love, though, the fact that if you think about it, even like, let's say you put Rome in that mix, you got 4 receivers that could go make a play. I love the idea of getting into, hey, 2nd and 2, and you get into what we used to call like OT1, no backs, 1 tight end being Komet, and then those 4 dudes out there. Motion DJ Moore into the backfield. Hey, we can actually run 11 personnel plays, but you just force them into super light, right? Because if they don't get super light in their personnel, we're just going to run by you. But if they do go super light, you motion DJ back there. DJ to me is kind of like a running back to a degree. So I don't know how you stop the run game if you get into like, if everybody out there is a DB, you guys know, God forbid, you got a DB in the box and we're going to just run zone at you. Like, that's a nightmare for a D coordinator. So to me, there's some interesting personnel groupings that I think we'll end up seeing, week 1, week 2, week 3. We're never going to see them in the preseason, but there's some interesting stuff that I think could be coming down the pipe that would be pretty dang awesome.
And it has not been a secret that they've been using DJ Moore in the backfield. They've openly talked about it. We've seen it in practice. So I think you're right, Tim, that we're going to see that probably pretty early in the season as well. Tim Jenkins, elite. He is elite. It's awesome. Great breakdown. As soon as the show's over, if you haven't watched it already, and I see people in the comments have already consumed your breakdown this morning, which is great. All Things QB is the YouTube channel. That's what I haven't watched it yet. So as soon as this is over, that's what I'm going to do too. But appreciate you jumping on, Tim. We always appreciate it.
Thanks, fellas. Y'all have a great week.
Yep. All right, there he is, Tim Jenkins.
Talk
great
soon.
job. Good job, Greg.
Yeah, good job to Tim. He's back on the payroll for the year. We'll see him. We'll see him every 4 weeks. We got to hear honestly, the energy he brings and the excitement he brings to breaking down quarterback play and offensive film. That's why we love having him on.
Yep, and the good news is we're not done yet with the breakdown because last night's performance called for some quick ODK to be put together. So
put it this way with Tim Jenkins. If Tim Jenkins and JT O'Sullivan got in a fight, we got Tim Jenkins, but no, I'm kidding.
I thought you were about to go down the if they had a baby thing again.
No, if Tim Jenkins and JT O'Sullivan had a baby, who would that baby be?
I
know Karn would say Tyson Bagent.
Kurt Benkert.
Kurt Benkert. Yes.
I don't know. All right. Hey, we're going to put some visualization, the kind of a lot of the stuff that Tim Jenkins just talked about, what I saw watching the film, broke down every snap, including the left tackle stuff we'll get into as well. So ODK is coming up next. Don't go anywhere. But first,
Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer, so make sure you do it while summer's still here. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 different strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. And if you're a pro, we've got you covered. 100 different strains on the menu and new ones added daily. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations all across the city. In Wrigleyville, right down the street from the Marquee, to the suburbs in Champaign. So visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 or older or Illinois medical card holders. For existing users, use the promo code CHGO50 for 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item.
And Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is slashing prices on new cars and giving you big savings all month long. Come in today to shop the new car clearance event. Check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. You're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know that you're getting a great deal. And with Ray's Price Promise, you're going to shop confidently because the price you see, the prices we talk about on the show, that's the price you pay when you go into the dealership. Visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. Don't miss out on their new car clearance event going on all month long. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. Over 1,200 people watching the show. Appreciate that here on this Bears Victory Monday, which, again, we're allowed to call it that because the Bears won 38-0. It's a shutout, so it's legally acceptable.
Legally binding.
According to us. And hit that like button. Please hit subscribe. We're here every single day. We're going to continue to have you covered with the practices this week. And, of course, Friday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. If you missed our post game last night, make sure you go back and check it out. Podcast is always available for you. All the videos here on the YouTube channel. Greatly appreciate all the support. So
I do at some point deserve some credit for holding to my word all offseason that I wasn't going to completely freak out and go complete hype meatball train.
Yeah, you are a little bit more mellow than I would have imagined.
I made a promise in January. I wasn't going to do this, so...
Okay, well, I will freak out now on the film. ODK, if you happen to be new to the show, Carm still doesn't know what it stands for. ODK, offense, defense, kicking. The huddle users out there know what I'm talking about. We're not allowed to use video on these live streams, so we got to give that caveat. I would love to show you the video. We cannot, so we got to show you the screenshots, but I got a lot of them for you, so I hope you're ready here. We're gonna go to the very first play of the game, okay? And the whole point of this is we're gonna try to look at things that could translate to the regular season. One of these on this play is just play design and what Ben Johnson's trying to get done. I love this as a first play. So Tim Jenkins was talking about this too. You're in 12 personnel. You can see you got 2 tight ends, so you're strong to the right, but they're gonna put Colson Loveland in motion. You're going to see a lot of motion with this Ben Johnson offense. So he's going to shift over to the left side pre-snap, make the line balance, which of course always is going to make the defense, have to check this way as well. So now we go to the next slide where Colson Loveland is here now. And we're just talking pretty simple play action boot, right? You're just going to go back here, fake the handoff, roll out to your right. If you're Mitch Trubisky, we're going to get this wide receiver out here to get the hell out of the way, and Colson Loveland's just going to come right across the formation in the flat. This is just kind of taking candy from a baby, honestly, on the first play of the game. So a lot of credit to Ben Johnson. Obviously, the execution from the players involved too. And look, I'm going to freeze this right at the point where Caleb is turning around from the fake handoff. Mm-hmm. It might not look like it, but Colson Loveland's open already. Okay, so this is the conflict defender that you got to watch. You can see his feet are already going the wrong direction. Okay, so even though Colson Loveland hasn't run by him yet, with his speed and his ability to move, it's the second Caleb was able to turn his eyes here, he knows that this play is going to work. And at this point where Colston Loveland catches this, honestly, you said this in the moment, Greg. You kind of wanted him to break that tackle and get more.
Yeah.
Had he been able to, there's a lot of space out here. Nice play by the defender ultimately to force him out and only a gain of 8. But what a great first play to gain 8 yards right away. Get your offense moving.
Yeah, and as Eric Beauchamp is saying here in the chat, he says, I love that Johnson called a layup for Caleb at the very beginning to settle him down. That's the expectation for a $13 million head coach that has this kind of play calling, background is I want to see a lot of layups this year.
And also for Colston Loveland, who's a rookie. Get him going right away with a nice little easy pitch and catch.
And when we talked about it with Tim, when you have the kind of speed with DJ Moore, Olamide Zaccheaus, and, Rome Odunze's got speed. Colston Loveland's got speed. Luther Burton's got speed. You should be able to design mismatches that can create these kind of layups that have an opportunity for big plays.
So second play now. Pay attention to this one. I'm excited about this play, okay? And it's because of what I think Caleb's possibly identifying some keys pre-snap, but definitely seeing post-snap. So what the Bills show is a post safety, all right, with middle field closed. But and you get in these corners pressing at the line of scrimmage. Good indication that it could be man. But there's a couple tips here that maybe it's not. I mean, first off, we go back to the post safety. He's on the right hash while the ball is on reverse it. So offense, right hash, defense, left hash. That is just a small indication that he might be leaning to the numbers to the outside. Mm-hmm. Okay? He might be. The other thing, too, okay, quarterbacks, you're supposed to look at the eyes of these corners. So eyes are on the receiver. Eyes are on the receiver. That's a good indication that it could be man coverage. However, look at the slot corner. His eyes are in the backfield. Okay, so it's another indication that this safety that's creeping down here might not actually be coming. And sure enough, he backs off. This safety goes to the right, and they're actually middle field open. The reason why middle field open matters so much for this specific play is because Cole Kmet is running this seam route. Okay, so if the middle of the field's not open, that's not going to work. But if all of a sudden this safety's coming out here, and this safety's got his back turned coming out here, the middle of the field is open for Cole Kmet as long as he can just run by this linebacker, which he does. All right? Same type of thing. We talk about the timing with Tim Jenkins. Caleb's hitting the back of his drop here. Cole Kmet, it might not look like he's open here yet, but there's enough chemistry that he knows that he's got a step.
Well, in the hips of the linebacker.
Exactly. And the middle of the field is opening up with these safeties moving to the outside. So I wanted to show you this end zone angle too, because this is a great post-snap thing that I saw from Caleb on this with the film. Because, again, this safety, look, bottom left of your screen, he's got his back turned. He's running back into that cover 2 shell. Caleb Williams, I think, saw this coming, but his eyes, again, I wish I had the video to show you. His eyes have been this way since pretty much the snap, and right here where I have this frozen, he peeks. He's peeking at the safety just to make sure that safety is, in fact, staying over to that side of the field. As soon as he sees that, he knows that Cole Kmet is going to run by this linebacker. He's going to go straight up down the railroad tracks, as you might call it, straight down the hashes, and then where's the ball? Foot planted. Not a ton of space here, but look at this pass. I mean, it really was a great throw.
It was a rip.
So, and not a ton of – he had the right club in his bag, as we might say, because he didn't put a ton of arc on it. He just ripped it right up the seam. Perfect accuracy. It's a Cole Kmet, who's probably not going to be running away from the safety too often. He doesn't. I saw some criticism of that on Twitter, of course, but come on. Let's be happy with the outcome.
Yeah, and let you run through these because I know we have a lot, but I'll bring, kind of point this out in more detail in a little bit on the show. But to your point about him recognizing where the safeties are drifting pre-snap, where the eyes are of the guys coming up in the box. You're only able to do those things if you get to the line of scrimmage quickly. And
Yes.
I'll show you later just how efficient they were at getting in and out of the huddle and getting to the line of scrimmage with plenty of time for Caleb Williams to kind of survey the whole scene.
Now, is this the most complex defense in the world? No. I also wouldn't call it vanilla. I mean, they were in a single high middle field close and post-snap rotated out of it, okay? And that's not the only one that they did change their look post-snap. I'm going to show you one coming up here, too.
Yeah, they call it giving the quarterback different pictures, a pre-snap picture and then a post-snap picture that are two totally different things.
Right, so will it look different against the Vikings in week 1? Yes. Will it be more complex? Yes. But
you better believe it with Brian Flores.
It's not
He'll
like
give
every-
you 4 different pictures
Right.
on a play.
But it's not like the Bills were just standing there in the same picture the entire night last night. So I think that's important to point out. Okay. This is the third down throw to DJ Moore at the top of the screen. And I want to show this again. So now you got basically cover 2 shell. They end up the defenders down here at the bottom of the screen end up switching. So there is some. The point is, there's some stuff happening down here, okay? What I love about this, though, is whatever's happening basically all over here, who cares? You have DJ Moore one-on-one. You can pretty much see that pre-snap. You need, I think this was 3rd and 5, right? So, again, if you want to look down here, this is what I was talking about. This defender actually switches over to Colston Loveland, which, by the way, I was going to point out. Colston Loveland, this was 12 personnel, but Loveland split out wide. So essentially becomes 11 personnel. All right, so I should have pointed that out on the last slide. But so you get this little switch from these defenders. But, again, it doesn't matter because up here at the top, you have DJ Moore just running like a little stop route, little 5-yard curl, and the ball's already out. Look where the ball is. Ball's already out. Caleb, Tim Jenkins talked about this earlier. He realized it. He saw it. Quick drop. Bam. Ball was out. And by the way, Braxton Jones played pretty well in this game. This was like the one time he gave up any pressure. You don't even see that pressure because the ball's out so fast.
Yeah, it's what you want. It's simple. It's simple football, but simple should be applauded.
All right, so this is going to be another little switch up by the Bills pre-snap. Okay, we got middle field open with 2 safeties back. This is the deep over to Colston Loveland, so we can see him here. It's 11 personnel, but with Loveland on the outside, kind of split out like he's going to be running a route, even though it's a condensed formation. So post-snap, you're going to see the rotation where actually now the middle field's closed and it turns into a cover 3. All right, this is another thing Tim Jenkins mentioned earlier. This receiver's just basically running the clear out to get those safeties back. All right, being unselfish so that Colston can sit right back here in the zone. Okay, and then the read from Caleb Williams is nice and easy. You got Olamide Zaccheaus. It's low to high, right? Or high to low, depending on what the rules are. But if these linebackers stay back, okay, just rip it to OZ right here. Get some nice yardage. If they stay up, though, which is what ends up happening, and that space that Colston Loveland ran to behind.
Right, they sat.
Right, you can actually see Colston Loveland's just the top of his helmet here. Those linebackers stay down. Boom, look at all that space he had. And I know this throw looks like it's a little bit high, but it had to come out that way. If you actually see the pressure that Caleb had, there was a defensive lineman with his hand up. He had to get it over that. And this is a catchable ball. It's a good pass. It's accurate. Colston Loveland's able to catch it and get upfield for some more yardage at the same time.
Yep.
And then I believe we just have, this last play. So this is the touchdown to OZ. This is a little bit more obvious coverage that you're able to see pre-snap. You do have the single high safety. Everyone else is pretty much pressed up at the line, right? So you know you're manned up. So this is one of those where the coaches are on the sideline going, oh, we got this. Because you're going to run this little switch release with Roma Dunze and Olamide Zaccheaus right here. Those are those two guys. when we say switch release, okay, these guys are manned up. So to make that harder on them, OZ is going to switch with Rome. As Rome runs that way, OZ comes out, and that's going to make life harder for these defenders. So when Rome clears out here, he's taking this guy with him. OZ's going to go here, foot in the ground, bam.
But that switch creates that separation exactly where you're pointing here. Because they switch, now the guy that's taking Alameda Zaccheaus that's getting passed off, look at how much room of separation there is at the line of scrimmage for Zaccheaus to kind of operate and make a move on him.
And same thing with the anticipation. Bam. Just like that, Caleb's ready to throw. Okay?
And look at the pocket, guys. Look at the pocket and the window that, this pass doesn't happen if there's not an angle and a window to be able to rip that to Zaccheaus. The pocket was clean last night.
It was, and OZ's open already. You can see that right here. Rome's clearing out more space, which I'm going to show you on the next slide here. This is what's great about this, is when OZ is able to catch this right here, look, this guy's already, you can X him out. He's beat. All right, but in man coverage, with Rome running this way, he's just running this other defender out of here, so he doesn't matter, right? You just follow your other teammate right up the field, and the more you do that, the more you're creating all of this space to be able to run to. And all you got to do, and this is where OZ's natural speed, which I think we have to take into account, DeMar Hamlin, one guy to beat. Break one tackle, and this is a touchdown, which he does, so players make plays too. It's great play design. Caleb's on time. The pocket was clean, like you said, and then you just let your guy make one guy miss at the end, and it's a touchdown. So, I know that was a lot to digest, and that was pretty much the entire first series, but I hope you guys can sort of see that there were times where the Bills were vanilla. I still don't think vanilla is not what I would call it, though. I mean, I would call it like, vanilla, maybe Rocky Road with some sprinkles on top. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, but Caleb handled all that, and Ben Johnson had a plan, and the players all executed. So for this one Monday, I think you're allowed to feel good about it. I think there's some things you can take in that ODK that should translate to the regular season. And, yes, we can all sit here and acknowledge the fact, as I'm sure Ben Johnson's doing with the entire offense and Caleb Williams, completely different challenge in week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings, which, oh, by the way, might have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense, when it's all said and done in the league this year, and it's going to be complicated. Not to get ahead of ourselves, though, there's one offensive coordinator that's been able to find the unsound cracks in that scheme. It has been Ben Johnson.
Yep.
So there's going to be answers to the test. Can Caleb find those answers?
Yep.
That's the big question. They got 3 weeks to figure it out.
Yep. Can the offense execute? I mean, there was a few times where they blitzed, and I thought the Bears' first-team offense handled it really well. And you had a running back sticking his head right there as the blitz is coming up the middle, Hankins, and denying that opportunity, to get to the quarterback. And so that's the other point. Yeah, we understand it was a second-team defense for the Bills. It's a preseason game. They're not showing the looks. They were blitzing. They were showing some different things, nothing crazy. But at the same time, the Bears handled it. They handled that without Joe Thuney, without DeAndre Swift. And so it's, again, we're not throwing a ticker tape parade.
Actually, I think I might be.
I
might when I
go
leave here
get.
today.
I haven't had Taco Bell in months. Maybe just from all of this that we just did and digested. Now I'm just gonna go digest some Taco Bell.
You're supposed to do that when things are horrible.
No. So there's celebratory Taco Bell, and then there's depression Taco Bell. They
sounds like you just win either way. Then
it's well, no, depression Taco Bell hits a lot different. There's a lot of regret. But if you celebratory Taco Bell feels great, no regret. It's just a mentality thing.
Yeah. For all the people yelling about, we have access to the All-22. I just showed you the All-22. We have to follow NFL rules, and it's just too complicated to explain out here. This is the best we can do. The people that put their video out there with the actual video, they're not making money off it. Let's just say that. So, and when you do, then they copyright claim you, which we can't do. So we're doing the best we can here. We're going to continue to do it. And I think 45 minutes in the show, I feel pretty good about the way that all of Caleb Williams' preseason performance last night was broken down between Tim Jenkins and this show here.
Yeah, and I actually have a little bit of breakdown of my own that I'll bring. I was talking about it a little bit on social media this morning. Tim Jenkins referenced it earlier. So to kind of continue this on when we come back from the break, I'll kind of give you some of the numbers that I was looking at as I did my rewatch this morning.
Great stuff coming up. We're not done yet. Victory Monday rolls on. But first, Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric has been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years, and now is the time to get your AC checked out. Four Seasons experts, they're standing by. They're ready to help you with AC installation, maintenance, and repair. Four Seasons expert technicians ensure that you always receive reliable service, and Four Seasons doesn't charge you more for service during nights, weekends, and holidays. So schedule your Four Seasons AC tune-up today. You'll save $50 and enjoy a 1-year no-breakdown guarantee. Save up to $4,000 on new comfort systems if you need to go that route with Four Seasons. New AC units start at $39 a month, and AC furnace combos $57 a month, which is a great deal. So your trusted local experts, they are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com.
That's right. I want to give a shout out to our good friends over at Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets right before the game. So if you're waiting to get your tickets for week 1, wait right before kickoff. Game Time's going to have the cheapest tickets because they have killer last-minute deals. Views from your seats, and their lowest price is guaranteed. What I love about the app, Adam, is when you go on it, shows you all the different deals you can get. The cheapest ticket, the hot deal, and every single section in the stadium shows you exactly where you're going to get the vantage point you're looking for. Game Time is so great about those things. And you know your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Can't stand those secondary markets that try to trick you with the pricing. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
All right, we said we had some numbers for you. I know I got a couple, but so does this guy, Greg Braggs. What do you got?
Yeah, well, we were talking. So after the game, Ben Johnson said, because he was asked about, you know, the scheme of the game, schematically, how they were trying to attack the Bills, and he said it wasn't scheme. You know, it was just more about mentality and physicality and playing with aggressiveness. And overall, the thing he was most proud of, Ben said, was the clean operations. And last night, Edward French IV, you know, brought it up in our super chat. Like
our guy.
Yeah, our guy. So shout out to the Frenchman. You know, he brought up, you know, how he noticed that the Bears seem to be getting in and out of the huddle very quickly. And so I wanted to go back and really see exactly how that looked, because I think we all said, hey, everything looked clean. They executed it so nicely. But, like, let's actually dive into those details and what that actually meant and what that actually looked like last night, because we have been beaten over the head for 3 weeks about delay of games and pre-snap penalties and sloppy procedural stuff going on at Family Fest and all these different training camps. Well, let's applaud and acknowledge the execution of last night from the details that they are working on. And so as I dove into it and seeing them I just wanted to see how they operated getting in and out of the huddle. When you watch the TV broadcast, you know, they got a lot of different things going on. It's preseason, so they're interviewing Kevin Warren, they're interviewing all these different players, but they do show a lot of times where Caleb Williams is getting the call in, going into the huddle, relaying the call. They all clap in unison and get to the line of scrimmage. I understand. This is football 101. Nobody's reinventing the wheel. Ben Johnson didn't create football last night. But for Chicago, sometimes the simple things are the things that we have never been able to see and appreciate because it just have eluded us with different coaching staffs in the past. So going through it, I charted every single snap in the first half for Caleb Williams, Tyson Bagent in the first and second team offense. They had 53 total snaps last night in the first half. 53 snaps. And of those 53, only one time did the play clock get under 10 seconds. Only once. And over 23 times, the play clock was still over 15 seconds when they were to the line of scrimmage and set. They didn't snap the ball. I'm just talking getting to the line of scrimmage and everyone is set. And so I just think when you talk earlier, Adam, about what that can do for an offense, you know, being able to get in and out of the huddle quickly so you can identify what your protections are, make a check at the line of scrimmage if you have to, identify the mic, be in communication with your center, Drew Dahlman. You know, even drawing an offsides penalty at one point last night. That doesn't happen if you're not to the line of scrimmage, getting your cadence off. Another thing that I saw through the 53 snaps of watching this through, Ben Johnson really switching up the tempo in when they snap. Do they come up to the line of scrimmage and snap it right away? Do they come to the line of scrimmage and then call it out, do their pre-snap motions and things of that nature? Those are the kind of things that will throw off a pass rush. How do you throw off Jonathan Grenard? Those kind of tempo things, that execution of details to get to the line of scrimmage. I mean, how many seconds, Adam, do you have before the headset goes out if you're Caleb Williams where Ben Johnson can communicate?
Well, it goes out at 15 seconds.
Right. So the faster you can get there, and there was more than a few times they got to the line of scrimmage with 20 seconds. So Ben's still in your ear there. So I just think all of these things are a trickle-down effect of what led to the smooth operations that we saw last night.
So, and this is where I do think it matters preseason versus regular season because, and I don't know this for sure, but this is a pretty educated guess. So, look, they knew they weren't going to play, the starters weren't going to play more than, who knows. If that drive had continued, it might have added up to 20 snaps, right? But it ended up being 14. So, my point is, from the offensive menu, that Ben Johnson, they get in the meeting room at the offense with Caleb Williams. That menu was probably very condensed. Hey, these are the plays that we're going to have ready against the Bills that we're going to run. And whether the play calls that were called last night by Ben Johnson and Caleb relayed in the huddle, whether they were short or long, Caleb probably knew what they were.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the same thing in a regular season game when you talk about your first 15 and what's scripted and all that.
Mind you, last year, DeAndre Swift revealed after the fourth game of the regular season that they weren't scripting their first 15 plays.
Right. But my point is that you were basically working off that script last night. So I would have been very worried if there were issues with getting the play call in on time and getting lined up in time and all that. It's great. My question now is, what does it look like in the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter? Now the menu you're going into with the game is going to be way bigger, and you don't necessarily know what's going to get called or not called throughout the game. So when all of a sudden it's the third quarter and it's third down and Ben Johnson decides to go to blah, 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 14-word play, are they still getting to the line of scrimmage with 15 seconds on the clock, or at least 10? I hope so, but that's going to be the challenge that's different once you get to the regular season based on what we saw last night.
And one of the littlest details to me that I think is the biggest key in order to making sure that happens is, regardless of what happened on the last play you just ran, you run your butt to that huddle. And you saw that last night. After they finished a play, whether it's downfield to Colston Loveland over the top or Cole Kmet, they are running back to the huddle, Caleb Williams included, to get that call in so they can quickly get through these motions. No matter the failure or success of the play, they even had a point where Hankins had to come off because of an injury, and it didn't throw them off from their order of operation. So I just think it's about setting a standard of, this is how we are going to operate no matter how good or bad the play before it happens, as two of the biggest things that Ben Johnson said he wanted to work on with Caleb this offseason with what he saw on tape last year. One of them was no sulking, right? Mm-hmm. Don't be laying on the ground after if you take a sack, you take a sack, but don't be laying there. Don't be yelling at the ref. Get back to the huddle and let's get going, because all of this becomes a trickle down effect. And if you let it snowball, then that's how things just start to fall apart.
Some numbers I have for you: under center versus shotgun. Technically, the Bears lined up 15 times last night. There's 14 snaps because one of them was the offsides where Caleb was able to draw him off with the cadence. Another great sign that happened. So there were 8 shotgun. They lined up in the shotgun 8 times, 7 times under center. We saw a healthy mix. I'll just read it off for you. 12 personnel, 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 11 personnel, 11 personnel with Colston Loveland. 12 personnel, 11, 11, 12, 11 with Colston Loveland. 11, 12, 11 with Colston Loveland, 11 with Colston Loveland, 11 with Colston Loveland.
And that gives you an opportunity to motion into 12 personnel, like you said. And you saw a lot, the big thing that we talked about last night that was brought up many times by Greg Olson on the broadcast was the way Luther Burden was motioning from the outside hash inside for that outside edge, crack block, to open up the touchdown on the goal line. He did it a couple times, and he was commended for it, rightfully so. But when you think about doing that with Colston Loveland, right? You put him on the outside. Now you're motioning him in towards the offensive lineman. They have to make a decision. Who's on Colston Loveland there? Now you bring him in. That changes the trajectory of the corner or linebacker that's covering him. He's coming back over, and it just opens up different angles for run plays and throwing windows, and it gives leverage opportunities for those tight ends to make a seal block.
Absolutely. All right. Now, a couple areas of concern that we got to talk about before we get out of here. We're starting to see attrition at running back, cornerback, and now we got to throw defensive end in there too, because Dom Robb and Austin Booker got banged up last night. We don't know a ton about the injuries from last night yet, but I think it's worth pointing out when it comes to the first team offense last night, Joe Thuney was not out there. Luke Newman was. I meant to circle it in my ODK, and thank you for bringing up at the end, Greg, about the protection. But there was one of those clips I had there from the end zone angle where it was like a perfect seal on the left side with Luke Newman and Braxton Jones. So Luke Newman's more than holding his own when he's playing guard. The center experiment didn't really go well. I don't necessarily think it's completely over. But Luke Newman, 6th-round rookie, might end up being your swing guard when the season starts. Got a little off topic there, but I did want to point that out.
Yeah.
So Deion Hankins, though, was your starting running back because you're down Roshan, you were down Monongai, and DeAndre Swift just didn't play.
And then Hankins got hurt.
Right, and then Hankins got hurt in this game, too.
Then you're down to Britton Brown, who played pretty well.
Good.
Yeah. He had some bursts, and then Ian Wheeler with 80 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Right, and then at corner with Terrell Smith going down, those injuries are starting to add up, too. And I mentioned defensive end. So it's hasn't been horrible on the injury front, I would say. But some things are starting to add up here. The good news is we got to I don't know. Let's call it 1.5 practices this week. I think Wednesday is going to be the real practice with some pads on, and then they travel to Kansas City Thursday, and there's a game Friday, and then pretty much camp's over. Then you can get healthy. At that point, you're going to know who's on your roster. Get healthy, start game planning for the Vikings. But you do got to get through Friday and one more pretty big practice on Wednesday.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Bears make any additions to the running back room or secondary right now with, amount of guys they have banged up. I mean, ultimately, you're going to need bodies for Friday's game as well, right? You start getting into 3rd and 4th string type players in the second half of that game. We'll see if the starters play or how much second team plays. Maybe, we'll find out here later in the week. But regardless, you're going to kind of be, really digging into the bottom of that depth chart at the end of this game.
All right, we'll have Super Chats coming up here in overtime. Just want to remind you, great time to become a diehard, $36 for the entire year. You get all of John Z's written content. You get 20% off all merch, events like tonight at the rooftop, Wrigley. We got all kinds of things going on. So become a diehard, scan that QR code as we head to overtime.
That's right.
All right. Superchats.
One thing before we get to Super Chats, because I know, we got Wednesday practice, post-practice show?
Yes.
Right? The other thing that I just thought I wanted to underline here was the left tackle situation after the game, because I know we didn't get a chance last night to play the Ben Johnson audio post-game presser. But the one thing he did say about the left tackle situation, he said, I know we're going to get beat in this league. When you're playing tackle in this league against some of these pass rushers, you're going to lose a rep or two. And this was the thing that I found most interesting. He said the biggest thing is how you bounce back. That's one. But two, how do we slow down from losing too fast? If we're going to lose, we want to lose slow. And there was one particular rep that I did point out yesterday on our post-game show where Caleb Williams, identified a blitz. They picked it up. He throws this out route to DJ Moore for the first down. It was a nice play. But if you don't watch the ball, you don't watch Caleb Williams on the throw, you do see at left tackle Braxton Jones get beat to the inside, same as he did last week on the fourth down play against Tyson Bagent. So, I think it's refreshing today that left tackle isn't the first thing that we're talking about, because it has been for the last week and a half. But just identifying that and Ben saying, we want to lose slow. Let's slow down so we don't lose fast. And I thought that play in particular kind of highlighted that. So it'll be interesting to see. I know there's PFF grades saying who did better between Theo Bennett and Braxton Jones. Braxton had 14 snaps on the day, I believe, at left tackle.
14 snaps, only one where I thought he allowed any type of pressure on that play. As I showed in the ODK, the ball was already out at that point. So I wouldn't say it looked perfect from a technique standpoint or a lower body strength standpoint, but he did his job in this game. And so you still got 3 weeks from today to continue to build up strength and kind of feel closer to yourself.
You would think Braxton Jones is going to be the left tackle week one.
Yeah, I don't know that I felt that way before the game yesterday. And it certainly, I would feel different if he had looked like he did against the Dolphins again. But he held his own. He played well enough. And so, yeah, I do think that that's the case. But I certainly wouldn't hold him out Friday night in Kansas City. We'll see what the plan is with the starters this week. But I would still want to see him play more.
Okay. Yeah, I know we were getting to Super Chats, but I just felt like, hey, we got to touch a little bit on this left tackle situation as it started. Because he said last night was a big one for evaluation. So, being able to go back and watch the first half this morning, I got more to watch with Theo Bennett. I know Ben's going to have a close eye on everything that happened last night.
All right, Super Chats. Got a couple. Daniel Lawson, $5. Yes, it's a preseason win, but excited about the focus and discipline across the board from the team. Let's go. Bear down. #diehard.
That's right.
And then Edward, our guy with 10 R's. R dollars.
What?
Is this the Brazilian? It's been too long, Ed. I'm sorry. I knew this, and now I don't.
Russian dollars.
I don't. My lord, didn't realize Tooney didn't play and the O-line looked that good. That's it. I'm ready to bear down hard.
It is Brazilian.
Yeah, okay. I got you.
Man, you're smart. Yeah, Joe Tooney didn't play. They survived without him.
Yeah.
Much to the chagrin. I was not happy with it.
Yeah. And now how do you feel?
I feel the same. It wasn't about the outcome of the plays. It's about the offensive line playing in unison. So Tooney wasn't there. They still got to work on that. Leave no stone unturned. Tooney should play on Friday. It's against his old team, the Chiefs.
No. Stop it. All right. For those asking, Hoge and Johns will go live at 2 o'clock, I believe. It has already been recorded. We recorded it this morning. We got some good Bills information in there, too, kind of from the other perspective of it has to do with the Bears, but where they were at with their backups, who was in, what mattered. So it's a good show. So make sure you check that out. Coming your way at 2:00 over on the Hoge and John's YouTube channel. Please go over there, hit subscribe on that channel. And obviously hit subscribe on this one if for some reason you're new. Hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks to Tim Jenkins for coming on in short notice. You want to check out his YouTube channel as well, All Things QB. He's got a big breakdown on his channel. A lot of written stuff up. Johnsy's got a column at allchgo.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Spano's in the chat. Did you know he had shoulder surgery?
I did not.
Well, he did. He's in the gym all the time.
Guess who could bench more now, Spano?
Oh, wow. Kick a man while he's down, Steven.
Wow.
Yeah, shoulder surgery.
That was bold.
Might not have been smart.
I hope you're feeling better, Spano. All right.
My advice to him, as somebody that's had surgery a couple times last year, was like, go get ice cream. Lots of ice cream.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best advice. Taco Bell, too.
Just don't do any of that.
Did you see the DNVR guys have a collab with Taco Bell?
I did see that, yeah.
How does that happen before me?
Something.
You know how many times I've given free pub to Taco Bell on this program?
That's the problem. Stop giving them the free pub.
Ah, I see. Eric Bochanan here in the chat asking, Hogan John's coming up at 2. Bears After Dark coming up at 7 p.m. Central. Adam Rank, Shane Marsaw, Phil Atoshin will all be there breaking things down, get their perspective, just continue to give you guys as many different voices and perspectives as we possibly can here. So 3 days in one show for you. How about that?
3 shows in one day.
What did I say?
You said 3 days in one show.
Well, I mean, I'm working on like 3 hours of sleep. So.
Yeah, we all are. I was both happy and sad when the film was available this morning. I was like, I do have to wake up and watch this. Okay. Spano, getting back at you, by the way. First time in Steven's life he can bench more than...
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Spano, there's one thing that he doesn't do, and that's leg day. He skips that a lot.
Me neither.
You've been saying that for a while. My legs have gotten so much stronger. You haven't said anything for a while. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Some of us just have natural calves without doing any work.
It's true. Somebody said in the chat earlier with the ODK, they noticed that Caleb might be giving you a run for your money with the calves.
I did notice the no socks situation.
Yeah.
The pulled up. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for watching, listening. We enjoyed the show very much. We'll be back tomorrow. I think it might actually be at noon. We might have a little schedule change. We'll keep you posted. Follow all our accounts. We'll tell you when everything's happening. Most importantly, just be locked into this YouTube channel. Hit the notification so you always know when we go live. Appreciate you being here. Last night was awesome. Huge audience. Same thing here on this Monday. Once we get to the regular season, these Monday shows are going to be bigger and better. Appreciate you being here. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.